Holy hell! I don't know. There's not a drive home for me that's long enough. If I lived in Duluth, I wouldn't be able to get through this whole game in the drive home. Stunning beyond words. I mean, we thought the Buffalo game was something. This tops it for sure. I mean, just from a historical perspective, it tops it. I mean, this is we played two of the best games, maybe in the history of the NFL in like the last 6 weeks. This was astounding. I genuinely did not think this was possible at all. And I'm sure, obviously, that's kind of like saying, water's wet. Like, of course you don't think it's possible because it had never happened before. No one had ever come back from this many points down. It's impossible. And I think I guarantee I'm doing 2 videos on this game. This is just my stream of consciousness one. The reason these comebacks don't happen is because when you're down that much, with a half to go, or, you can be down more than that, early, whatever. To make the comeback, you have to have everything go so perfectly. But it didn't go perfectly for the Vikings. It didn't go perfectly at all. Like, we had 2 touchdowns stolen from us by the officiating. Absolutely fucking stolen from us. One of them was early. It was before we were down 33. But, I mean, we could have tied that game up with about 5 or 6 minutes left. This thing's going to get knocked off here in a second. We could have tied that game up with like 5 or 6 minutes left if they hadn't stolen Chandon Sullivan's second touchdown of the day. So that happened. Kirk threw an interception inside the 5, which from my vantage point, it looked like Jalen Reagor just fucking stopped running. Like, maybe it wouldn't have been caught anyway. We had two of those with Reagor today. Both those interceptions were on him, and they were both immediately with the play after Jefferson had to leave the field. But things didn't go perfect for the Vikings during their comeback. You think even if you were one of the people, and I was not, if you're one of the people who goes at halftime and it's 33-zip and you're still holding out some hope, like, you're thinking, okay, we have to score a touchdown on every possession, we have to stop them on every possession, we have to probably get a turnover or 2 in there, we have to maybe get an onside kick in there, like the amount of things that we have to do and do them very perfectly. But I mean, we didn't do things perfectly even to make the comeback. There was the 4th down play on our second to last drive of regulation, where it was like 4th and 15, and Kirk takes off running. That was a total brain fart by Kirk. I don't know what. I mean, there was no chance he was going to gain 15 yards on that scramble. I mean, we've seen Kirk scramble sometimes, and pick up some yards, but there was no chance. Patrick Mahomes was not getting 15 yards on that scramble. So it's like we did that. Like, there were things that we didn't do right, and we did, or that just didn't go our way, and we still were able to make the greatest fucking comeback in the history of the NFL. I can't even process this, because like as insane, there's video proof of this, is how insane that I thought that Buffalo game was. This is like, I didn't even think this was real. It honestly, I did not think this was a real possibility to happen, probably until we got the ball back in a 1-score game. That was really the only time I thought, because obviously you're not trusting the defense very much. But hey, look, we gave up what was it? What was the final? Fucking 39-36. We gave up 36 points. A lot of that wasn't even on the defense, because we had a pick 6 and a block punt return for a touchdown. And I thought one of the things that was really going to trip us up there at the end. Slippery roads. I almost got in an accident yesterday. I almost could have died and not even seen this game. Don't get in that accident now. And I forgot what I was going to say. My head is spinning. I got so much rattling around up here right now. It's just incredible. I still can't believe, like, this was gonna. Oh, I was going to talk about the O'Connell stuff where he screwed up. Like, I thought those were panic moves in the first half where he was going for these. He goes for the 4th down. Yeah, I forget. I think it was maybe 17-0 at that point, or 13-0. I forget exactly what the score was, but I thought that was kind of a panic move. I didn't like I thought that was the one where I thought it was pretty clear that we got the first down the play before it. We didn't challenge, and then he just ran a 4th down play, and it got stuffed, and we turned the ball over. I thought, and then the fake punt was a complete insane decision. Like, I was about ready to not jump off like forever the O'Connell bandwagon, but certainly like, okay, the bloom is off the rose here with some of this stuff that's going on. Because I thought those were just panic moves. I thought it was just terrible. Like, don't do that. Just, yeah, I get it that you're stunningly down like 3 scores, in a game that you thought, you were gonna certainly win. And I thought those were just panic moves. And I was like, oh god, we ended up giving them like, I can't remember if they got 2 field goals or maybe got a touchdown on one of them. I always struggle remembering the order of things that happen. I don't even attempt that right now. But we gave them at least, they scored on both. We gave them at least 6 points out of that. There was also the deep shot to KJ. That was, I believe, in the first half as well. Yeah, it was in the first half. That I certainly thought was a catch. They took it away. And then they punted and got us pinned deep, and that was when Kirk ended up throwing the pick 6. Like, the refs were just fucking horrible. It's the second straight week. We got, I was doing a live video, so I didn't really notice it at the time when it happened last week. But that JJ play on the sidelines that they blew dead, that would have been a touchdown, and we would have had a shot in that game. That was taken away, and I was like, oh my god. And now we now had 3 touchdowns taken away from us, stolen from us, with the same bullshit. This bullshit about we're blowing the play dead. Why are they not blowing the play dead on other things? There were a couple of runs today by the Colts. There was one down by the goal line where they were letting the play go on forever, and they weren't blowing anything dead. But they decided to blow these plays dead, when we were getting fumbles that were going to be touchdowns. Hey, we got traffic, so that means I get more time to talk. It's like, boy, this is a lot of traffic for a Sunday night, but it's not Sunday. It was Saturday. It's been screwing with my head all day. It's just incredible. I did not think it was going to happen. Even as it was happening, like there were guys like next to me in my row, like, who were just losing their fucking minds when it was like, when they made it like 36-14, and I'm like, oh, come on. It's just like, yeah, there's a lot of time left, but come on. And it's not even like doubting the Vikings, because, at 33-0, I'm like, I was really down. I was really, really down. I'm sure a lot of people were, but I'm like, I lean very supportive and homeristic at times. But even I was kind of just, forget this game, and I was genuinely starting to worry about the season. I was genuinely starting to worry about the whole season, like what's going to happen these final 3 games after this loss is official. Because I would have thought it was unthinkable that we could lose out, but then it's like, well, it's unthinkable that we're down 33-0 to the Colts. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't on the ledge, like I wasn't giving up on the season, but I was absolutely like, they were opening up all the openings for all the doubters and all the there was no defending what happened in the first half. I don't even know what the fuck happened in the first half. I mean, it gets wiped away because when you make the greatest comeback in the history, in order to make the greatest comeback in the history of the NFL, you have to be really, really bad. Like when the Bills made the comeback in the playoffs against Houston, they had to be really, really bad for a lot of that game in order to make it possible. But this, I mean, I don't know what the fuck was going on in that first half. It was a complete disaster on every level. Coaching, horrible decisions, some bad defense, although they were put in some bad spots, obviously multiple times. Ultimately, the defense kind of saved our ass today a little bit. I mean, I'll give credit where credit's due to Donatel. His defense made some plays. They certainly made some plays in the second half, because obviously, in order to make that kind of comeback, you have to make some plays on defense, including that fourth down stop. I was on my way out. I'll admit, I left. I was not like out of the stadium, but I was kind of just. I'll make my way over to the other side of the stadium, closer to the light rail, because I'm like, okay, that was after the Kirk scramble on fourth down. I'm like, okay, we're probably not going to stop him. I won't be out of the building in case something good happens, but just to hedge my bets a little bit. I didn't even see the play on the fourth down. All I heard was the roar of the crowd when they stopped him. I knew it was fourth down, and I knew they had were running a play, but so. But then I got to watch amongst the masses down in the corridor, or on the concourse. But oh man. There's so much to talk about. There's just so much to talk about. Like Kirk did it again. And there was the shot of him with the Gatorade cup. That's all we need. I think I even tweeted that. Like we need a shot of Kirk with the Gatorade cup. We got one, and here we go. Every time we're trailing, he needs to be just chugging that Gatorade every second. It's unbelievable. I mean. If I'd been doing a live video for this, holy shit, I would have probably been recording for an hour. But man, Donatel's defense, like they did some stuff. Like they weren't great or anything. They weren't, but they competed. Like last week, they didn't even show up to help. This week, they absolutely helped. Even in the first half, they helped by holding them to a couple of field goals. I think after those KOC bad decisions, and even the first drive, we gave up a long kick return to start the game, harbinger of doom for the special teams, which gave up a couple long returns today, and of course got the punt blocked and had the fake punt. I have no. Why were you trying to fake punt and then having Ryan Wright throw it like 20 yards down the field? Like at least they converted a fake punt earlier this year, but it was a real short pass. Oh man, but they competed. They did some stuff. They got 2 defensive touchdowns. As far as I'm concerned, they got 2 of them. They were stolen from us. But to think I read something in the Strip just a few weeks ago about how the refs have been so helpful to the Vikings this year, which was BS to begin with, and now we've seen what's happened the last couple of games. It's unbelievable. There were 1 or 2 other ones. They threw. God, it was after the. It was the second defensive touchdown that we at least got possession of the ball. We were at least given possession of the ball, but then they took 15 yards off us because I don't know who it was. Took his helmet off and was pissed off, but he's rightfully pissed off because you're fucking ridiculous. You're stealing touchdowns from us. Literally stealing touchdowns from us. It's just it's unconscionable that this stuff is allowed to happen. The fact that they did it once already in this game, and then they did it a second time. Like now obviously the way it works out is we won the game. Maybe if it works out a little differently, maybe the Colts play things a little differently. Maybe we don't even win because of that. I grant that, but you give us 2 extra touchdowns, I'm pretty sure we're okay. And as we're making that comeback, those last few offensive drives, for the actual comeback, like these guys were not allowing themselves to be tackled. That Dalvin run on the long screen pass that set him up for the 2 to tie the game, that was unbelievable. That was just pure effort. And I'll give Dalvin had a horrible fumble in the first half, absolutely horrible fumble. That was amongst the many things that were going wrong. But a great run before that, great run after the catch at the end. Like, he had some other, like, the determination on some of these runs and runs after catch. KJ Osborne had just an enormous game. Like I heard, it was his first 100-yard game, and hell, he had a big play taken away from him by the officials. So he would have had damn near 200 yards. I don't know how much JG ended up with. That was basically at 33-0. I'm like, well, if you're gonna keep putting the guys out there, at least get JJ some stats. I don't even know what he ended up with, but Thielen made a couple big ones. I believe he caught the 2. I couldn't quite tell from where I was watching the latter part of that game, but I think it was Thielen that caught the 2. Hawkinson had a couple plays. Jalen Reagor. I mean, I guess it was taken away by a penalty, but he did have one big punt return. Well, that was the other one though. That was the they called I think a face mask on Chris Boyd. He didn't grab the fucking face mask. I swear these officials were as in the tank for the Colts today as I've ever seen. I mean, it was unbelievable. There's probably a couple I'm forgetting. I know there were. I mean, these were just enormous calls that were going against us. I don't know what this game. I suppose this game will get a nickname. I mean, it's got to the comeback. I mean, they always called it the comeback with Bills Oilers, but I mean, we got a bigger comeback. Wasn't it a playoff game? Can you imagine if this was a fucking playoff game and we came back from 33 down? Oh my god. So I'm probably gonna do a second video. There's just so you can go blow by blow. I'm gonna do multiple videos for this game. It deserves it. I want to talk about this game for the rest of my life, and I will. Just an incredible determination. Like that, this team just does not give up. Like they were down 17 points in Buffalo, in the fourth quarter or close to the fourth quarter. They're down 33-0 and down 36-7. At one point, the comeback itself really didn't even get going until like middle to late third quarter, because I think it was still 36-14 going into the fourth. And I've seen it all year. This magic that this team has in the fourth quarter, it's like nothing that anyone's ever seen now. I mean, we literally have it in the record books for fourth quarter. I thought it was kind of a side note at the time, because we were down so much already. But we actually had a good third quarter for once this season. Third quarter has been our bad quarter all year. I believe we were 14-3 in the third quarter. We got our first couple touchdowns, and again, you don't necessarily think that those touchdowns will lead to something, but if we don't show up in the third quarter today, we damn sure ain't winning this game. So, and maybe people were kind of discrediting things like, oh, it's just the Colts, kind of giving up or whatever, just going on a like prevent type of defense. Well, if that was, I mean, they never stopped. So, but Duke Shelley made a couple big plays there at the end. Like, talk about a guy who's just clutch. Like, he makes plays like that. Whatever our defensive struggles, we've got a couple guys who can make plays. Oh man, I'm like, boy, this very slow highway or freeway traffic is really gonna help me do the whole video. Maybe I won't do a second video, at least not right away. But I mean, it's historic, and it's unbelievable. This was the 1,000th game in Vikings history, not counting preseason, and they do this, and it's to win a division. I was even watching the OT there. At a point, I'm like, it wouldn't have been very sporty, like especially when they got the ball the last time there, with like a minute and change left. It's like, it wouldn't be real sporty to do this, because we saw something similar in the Raiders Chargers the end of last season, where I think it was if the Raiders just sat on the ball, they would get a tie and they would go to the playoffs. And it was kind of the same thing, because a tie would give the Vikings the division. If it ended up a tie. So when they get the ball back with like a minute and 20 or whatever, and I don't believe they had a timeout. I'm kind of half minded, like, just run the ball a few times, take the tie and take the division. I mean, like, obviously, ultimately, I'm glad it worked out the way it did, and credit to the Vikings for doing that, and credit to O'Connell for being willing to do that. I mean, they started with a run, but once they got like that first down, it was like, okay, they're gonna go for this now and try to actually get the win. And credit to them for doing it, because they could have just sat on it. And maybe if this had been a Week 18 game and it was the last game, and literally the only thing left to be decided was winning the division, maybe then you do that. And it wouldn't have been, again, he would have been ripped for it. It wouldn't have been looked at as very sportsmanlike to do it, but I would have probably done it. So that's why I'm not a coach, because I probably would have almost sat on the ball there on that last drive and in OT and just let the tie happen, and you win the division and you keep the 2 seed, and you're good. And like now, and now of course this was so huge just to get that division clinched, because now we don't have to worry about it. I mean, not that I was starting to worry a little bit at 33-zip, just because if you could let that happen to the Colts, I mean, you don't have a tough final 3 games on paper, but Colts at home on paper is not tough, and you were down 33-0, so things could happen. But you don't have to worry about that anymore. You don't have to worry that if you somehow lose out, that the Lions are going to win out and catch you. There's none of that. You've 5 years to the day that they last clinched an NFC North title. They clinched an NFC North title, and I can't. I mean, I'm sure there's been like comebacks to win divisions and obviously like playoffs things, but in terms of like games where you clinch a division or you clinch a playoff spot, this has got to be about as good as it has ever been, because there's never been a 33-point comeback. And it's all credit to them. Like this is even like last week, even when they're having problems, and it's not like they're showing lack of effort. They're whatever their deficiencies in whatever areas on a week-to-week basis, they fucking fight. This team is so fucking determined. Like they had a game in which refs were just fucking them left and right, literally stealing touchdowns away from them, and they still managed to pull off NFL history. And I'm sure that all this doesn't silence the haters. I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's people who are like, well, it's just the Colts you did this against. Well, okay. I don't give a fuck. You come from 33 back, you get credit. I mean, the first half was a disaster. Like that may have been the worst half of football the Minnesota Vikings have ever played in their entire history. I saw it was like their biggest halftime deficit in like over 20 years or something like that. One of the biggest ever. Like, of course it was one of the biggest probably ever any team's ever had. But teams get blown out in the first half all the time, and they don't come back, and they don't even make games of it. Like, I was even going to give them some credit, at a point when it was getting to like 36-21 even, and I was like, even if they're, I was still thinking, very much long shot comeback. Even at that point, I was like, well, they've made a game of this. They've shown some resolve. They've been able to make it a little bit of a game. They can take that and go forward, and get things done next week. But they weren't thinking that. They don't give up. Like, they didn't even one thing that I thought was real key in the second half, they didn't panic and like try an early onside kick or try an early 2-point conversion, because they didn't go for the 2 until they absolutely had to go for the 2. And Greg Joseph, hey, he made his PATs. Boy, wouldn't that when they got that second to last touchdown to make it at that point a 9-point game, and then they brought Joseph out. Wouldn't that have been a fucking kick in the nuts to have Joseph miss the PAT right there and keep it a 2-score game? But he didn't, and he hit the kick in overtime. I was kind of surprised they didn't try the 50. I don't know what it would have been, like about a 56-yarder on that first OT drive. It would have been risky as hell, because if you don't make it, then the Colts get it, with really good field position and can win with a field goal. I was actually quite surprised when they punted there. All right, we're taking the ramp. We're going to take it very slowly on slippery roads because I damn near got in an accident yesterday on a ramp. So we're going to take it slow because that would be a terrible thing to follow up this comeback by getting in an accident. But well, I've ended up having time to say almost everything I need to say. I mean, no amount of words can describe what we all just witnessed. This was unbelievable. This was historic. This was the. I mean, God, I thought there was no way they could top in terms of like a comeback or a tense game or whatever, that Buffalo game, and they did, and they topped. Like, we didn't beat as great of opponent, obviously, in this one, and it was a home game versus a road game. But like, if they could top this in any way, I don't even know. It's barely possible. What I see, like something about teams. I'll butcher the number. It was something like teams with the lead that the Colts had were like 1,150 and 0 with like a tie in the history of the NFL. And now we dropped a loss on a team with that lead. It's unbelievable. No one's ever going to forget this one. I'll never forget it. No one's ever going to forget it. I mean, this was the topper. Like, I mean, we are now officially in the playoffs. We will officially have a home game, at least one, US Bank Stadium next month. Maybe there's something. Maybe there's another level of insanity that this team can deliver. I can't imagine it. I don't know what they could possibly do to top this in terms of just comebacks and tension and everything else. I mean, I was at the Indianapolis Miracle game too, and that was something else. But that was we never had to come back for more than like 2 points down. I think that whole game. This was 33 points. 29 points, like well into the third quarter, and boy, and the game went so long that I'm arriving home and it's dark. Incredible, just incredible game. I can't believe they did it, and this team doesn't mean that, like, again, it doesn't mean that anything for they're going to win the Super Bowl now. No, but they are a special team. This is a special team in Vikings history, without question. Even if they don't go as far, maybe as like an 98 or an 09, like, this is a special team in the history of this franchise, and I fucking love them. Like, there's no quit. Like, they're a mess sometimes. They're an absolute mess sometimes, but they never quit. They never even contemplate quitting, and that's how you come to love a team. And I love this team, and I can't wait to see what they can do in the playoffs, which are now official. Yeah, I've said maybe we'll do another video later when I can collect my thoughts in a more rational way. But this was unbelievable. All credit to the Vikings for doing this, for going for the win in OT when they could have just sat on it and tied and took the division. I mean, it's beyond description what happened today, and wow, Skol all the way. Just an incredible day, an incredible game, an incredible season, and for all their faults, an incredible football team.